So if you're watching this video, most likely you're either married, thinking about getting married, or just a weirdo that wants to know exactly when the time does come. Like, how should I approach my finances with my partner? And the answer is that's kind of where I am, okay? Because I'm not even married. But as far as, for example, this topic is a topic that I'm actually fascinated with because it's one of the most serious decisions ever, and you want to be prepared for when this actually does happen. And different people out there have different opinions. So in this video, guess what? For the first time, well, not really, like that's what I usually do, okay? But I'm not going to give you guys an answer. The only thing I'm going to tell you guys in this video is exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So as you watch this video, you kind of decide for yourself what makes the most sense for you and know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why and how I'm going to combine my finances or why I'm not going to do it. Prenup, no prenup, all this stuff I'm going to break down in this video right here. And at its core, whenever I hear different people talk about advice for someone getting married, I hear, for example, people that say, for example, hey, you know, Tommy, I've been in failed relationships and here's my advice, okay? Don't get married too quickly. Live with this person before you marry them. Get a prenup. You never really finish knowing someone. And then when I go ahead and I listen to people that have been married for decades and decades, they don't really talk about money that much. They say, for example, hey, listen to this person, be on the same page, love this person even when they're not really that lovable, okay? Go through the hard times, like all these things. Like, it's just different opinions. It's like, by the way, there's one thing I do want to say here. You know, half of marriages fail. Like 50%. That's a statistics, okay? And that should not scare people like you guys watching this video, guys, right here, because the average person, when they're getting married, they're not looking up, for example, anything about finances or how to handle in-law problems or how to handle kids issue or how to handle, for example, religious issues within the marriage. Like, they're not handling all those things. They're kind of like, hey, I like you, you're pretty, let's get married, boom. Because at the end of the day, guys, average statistics will always suck. The average person lives paycheck to paycheck. They're not financially free. They're not financially literate. They're overweight. The most popular place on the planet to eat restaurant-wise is McDonald's. My point is, average and popular things tend to suck overall. But if you're watching a video right now and you're married or not even married and you're thinking about, hey, what can I do most efficiently to go ahead and get my finances in order to make sure I can basically help out with my relationship and actually that's not a real problem? The answer is you're not average. So that really should not scare you. Now, that does not mean you're going to have a perfect marriage overall, but it does mean potentially you're going to do a lot more better than the average person does because you're not average. Okay, so don't think that average statistics apply to you when you're not doing average things yourself. Okay, so now the very first thing, guys, is Tommy, by the way, guys, can't forget to do YouTube stuff, okay? Like this video, on top of that, also subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. But the very first thing is, Tommy, you know, will you be going ahead and combining your finances? The answer is, for me personally, the answer is yes. And it comes down to this little, it's not that complicated. It comes down to, if I marry someone, do I want to marry someone where I need, for example, a bunch of paperwork to marry them? Marry someone where I want to act as individuals even though we're supposed to be one? The answer is no. If the person I'm seeing and getting to know right now is not a person that I kind of just want to be whole with, like the Bible says, okay, like you will leave your parents, you guys will become one flesh, all this stuff. The answer is, if that person that I'm marrying is not the person that I actually want to spend my whole life with and I trust, then I'm probably not going to marry them in the first place, okay? That's one main thing. But at its core, it's kind of like when you're married and you're with someone and you guys are a team, like why wouldn't you want to have, for example, all these things together to be able to attack whatever you want to attack or progress or whatever you want to progress together? It's like if I'm on a boat and we both have paddles, don't we want to be heading in the same direction instead of you going that way and me going that way and the boat itself is not moving anywhere? That's the core idea. So when you think about it, okay, what are the cons here? Cons are you marry someone, you combine everything with them, you don't get a prenup. What happens is if it doesn't work out, you lose half your stuff. All right. And that's kind of, oh my gosh, just lost half my stuff. That's kind of crazy. But at its core, it's like you have to do the upfront work. You know, like getting like the pre-marriage counseling, making sure you get to know this person on a deeper level, to know what their character actually is. Not what you think it is, what it actually is, right? And it's like a lot of upfront work. So you know the person you're marrying is actually the right person for you to actually spend the rest of your life with. It's like coming down to this commitment based on everything else you kind of find out during that getting to know phase of that relationship. So that's my personal answer. The answer is no. I want to combine my finances with this person. I will combine my finances with this person because that's the person I actually want to marry. And when you think about marrying someone as a whole, and spending the rest of your life with them, that's a big deal. Not just like, and then once you think about that concept of like this is a forever thing with this one person, then the money part is like, oh, it doesn't really seem like that much of a big deal. This person knowing that I spent $10 on Pringles, or this person spending $20 on nails, doesn't really seem that much of a big deal. Now, number two, guys, is how would you go about combining your finances personally, Tommy, if you were to get married today? The answer is fairly simple. I think every household should have, for example, a common goal. It's like a mission statement as far as when it comes to money. And our mission statement would kind of be, for example, independence and financial freedom. It wouldn't come down to, for example, me marrying someone that cares just about status or how we look in the community. And for example, are we driving fancy cars and do we look fancy enough? Or there's a house, when people walk in, are they impressed? No, I care about someone that really kind of understands. For example, it's about independence, it's about financial freedom, and it's about knowing what money's actually good for at its core. So as far as the actual practical matter, it comes down to having 4 different joint bank accounts. Tommy, that's a lot of accounts. Why so many accounts? Because each account will have different jobs. One account will be joint, for example, for spending, like daily spending. One account will be like for splurging. One account will be like for emergency. And one account will be just for savings. Now, when I say joint accounts, I never like the idea of having to use, for example, hey, honey, here's a debit card, and I use that debit card also. I'm going, for example, to buy something on Amazon. Can I grab the debit card? No, like we have joint accounts, but we all have, for example, separate debit cards. This way, for example, it's like, okay, like you have your card, I have my card. It's just one account at the same thing, okay, the same level. And when it comes to, for example, like checkup, right? Are you overspending? Am I overspending? It comes down to a simple rule of thumb. If you're not buying something that's over $300 or $400, we don't need to have a conversation about it. But if it is something that's like over $400 or $300, well, why are we buying this in the first place? Because it kind of affects both of us, and it kind of comes down to now a conversation. Or if there's an emergency, okay, what is the emergency? Do we agree it's an emergency? Like at its core, it's like working as a team on these big things, but it's not like, hey, I'm gonna go spend $10 on Starbucks. Like, can I do this? Like, that's like monitoring, and that's like controlling and nitpicking. And then it's like, what's that about? Okay, that's not the lifestyle I picture when I picture being married and basically like trying to work on finances. I don't picture those $5 conversations whatsoever. Now, I do want to, this just came up into my mind right here. It's not in the script, but there is this danger where you might say, Tommy, you're saying $300, $400. By the way, that's my rule. You can have $100, $50, whatever you want to do for yourself. But what if this person is spending, for example, not $300 purchases, but like just spending a bunch of money everywhere? Well, that just comes down to irresponsibility. And this is where number 3 comes into play. This plan works just fine with normal, responsible adults. Adults that know exactly what they want, where they're going, and they're working together as a team. But it does not work responsibly at all with people that are liars, overspenders, and have no control with their money. It just will not work. So it comes down to, if you're married to a person who has these issues, then obviously having joint accounts is probably not the best idea. If you are dating someone that has these issues, obviously marrying someone with these issues without handling them first is probably not a good idea. Like, get these issues sorted before you actually get married and you decide to combine your finances in the first place, okay? So it's kind of like you use common sense, right, at its core. So it's like use common sense at its core. But that's my plan as far as, for example, how everything works. It comes down to joint accounts, a joint mission, but independence in the sense like we are both individuals, right? So we both have separate debit cards, but we're both working for the same purpose and the same goal and the same mission. But I never liked the idea of being monitored and being asked, why did you spend $3 on this stupid thing that you bought on Amazon? I don't want to explain that. It's kind of embarrassing, all right? But that is it, guys. Thanks for watching this video. And, you know, I remember Charlie Munger said, which is Warren Buffett's partner, he said, why would you want to marry someone that you have all this paperwork for? And Warren Buffett says, one of the most important decisions you will make in your life is not your career, is the person you marry. Because as a person, you're going to spend the most time with. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, right? It's the person you're going to spend the most time with, the rest of your life with. So choose that person wisely. It's kind of it's kind of like when people buy a home, they do a bunch of research. They look up, for example, different comps, different areas, different houses. They visit. They do a little, for example, research, whatever. They ask from people. But when it comes down to marrying someone, it kind of just comes down to, wow, that person is pretty. They seem nice. Wow, that's about it. That's all I need. No, you need more information at its core. So read some books on it. Take some counseling. Ask people that are married and have been married for years. And I've read the books. Not all the books, okay, but I've read really good books on marriages and finding out, is that person good today? Like, what are the things? What are the dangers? So do your research, because it's a real thing, all right. And when you think about the real severity of that, the money part is like secondary, and it becomes a more easy topic to kind of go through, okay? But think about all those things also. Guys, as always, that's enough time for this video. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. Comment down below, made it, so I know you made it all the way to the end of the video. And let me know exactly, what are you going to do? Combine finances or separate? And by the way, I've heard this example of, I think it was Kevin O'Reilly that said, no, you want to have everything separate because, not separate, not necessarily he said separate, but he said you want to have different credit identities or whatever it is. I really couldn't care less about that, because in a sense also, I'm debt free and I want to stay debt free. So that's kind of irrelevant to me in the first place. All right. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified. Up here, another video. Over here on the Facebook, subscribe. And as always, long-term team officially out.